there's a community of natural hair?
Yes. There is a big push for long hair and for hair that looks like, if y'all watch Joan Clayton, Girlfriends, Tracy Ellis Ross, for that type of curl. And there's a lot of money now being made with people black women trying to get their hair to look like, my hair is never going to look like that.
Right.
And I think we still idealize that.
All right, that's for Tracy Ellis Ross, one of my faves. All right. Yo, it's your man DJ Seiko, YAP Radio. We're actually doing Golden Fold Radio in the YAP studios. I got DJ Polo. Which camera you on, Polo? And we're live. And we have Clever Speaks. Give it up for Clever Speaks. Applause button. All right. Golden Fold Radio is all about fatherhood. And we're going to talk about 4 challenges, and we're going to talk about four triumphs. And so all of y'all looking at me like, Seiko,
kill that.
Kill that. All right. Seiko, why are you talking about fatherhood with Clever? All right. So, Clever, why would we talk to you about fatherhood?
You were talking to me about fatherhood because I am a woman who was raised by her father. I am daddy's girl. So much of who I am has everything to do with my father. So this is a very relevant topic for me. And I also, my organization does an event annually called Fatherhood in the Black Community. So this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart.
All right, give it up for Clever. Clever Speaks. So we're going to talk about 4 challenges and 4 triumphs that your father, and the funny thing is you can't really talk for your father, but you can talk about the experience that you had as a young lady growing up with your father. So let me jump right to what will be hitting me in a few years, because my daughter is turning 13 in 2 months. All right, so she's a teenager and you're a teenager. Let's bring it back to you, because it's all about you. It's all about Clever. All right, Clever. Can we switch it back to Clever? There we go. Okay, you got it? Yeah. That's right, shorty. All right, so you start liking boys. What's that like? What experience do you have with being raised by a single father and you're starting to like dudes? Okay. Which is good.
Okay. Well,
give it up for that. Give it up for that.
When you ask about numbers and challenges and everything, we're going to work through that. I'm going to try to get to that. But the whole concept of liking boys with a single father. Previously, before moving here with my dad, I was living with my grandmother, my granny, and my mom. They were much more lenient. Like, I had guy friends, like boys who were friends. They would call me on the phone. We could talk on the phone or whatever. When I moved here to Norfolk, the first time that a boy called the house, my dad hit the roof. Like, he had a fit. I was in 7th grade. Okay. And I was 12 years old, and he was not having that, and that was very different. Excuse me. Yeah, that was very different for me. And I guess one of the challenges, and people may look at this as being minor, but if this is something to kind of help fathers out from, hearing it from a daughter, your daughter's gonna like boys.
Okay.
And if you, like, my dad went very hard, and trust we're gonna get to all the great things that he did, but he went very hard, and it was kind of difficult for me. And him being a single father with his daughter, his only child, who's a girl, and the whole family on his back, like, you better not mess it up with our baby. I know that probably exacerbated how he felt, but he was relentless with the boys. He was not having it. And it was hard for me, and we would have our, preteen anger matches here because I would be like, what are you doing? Like, I love him,
What did Dad do when he found out that, how did Dad even know that you were interested in a gentleman?
Okay, well, I guess we're all adults in here, so this is pre-cell phone time. So if you give somebody your phone number, they gotta call the house. So when he called the house, and my dad, I don't remember if he heard me on the phone or if I think he heard me on the phone, like maybe I answered it, but he picked up. Y'all remember grown people? Your parent could pick up the phone and listen to you.
Baby, get out that phone, clean your bedroom.
Exactly. So
you went through that too, short.
Next thing I know, it's an abrupt knock on my door. Like, we need to cut this short. And I'm embarrassed because you're 12 and you're like, oh my God, you just ruined my life. He's gonna tell everybody in school, you know. So that was a challenge, but I do want to say this. If you have a daughter, talk to her about it, make it open where she can have conversation with you about things that are normal, that are supposed to happen. But with my dad, I also appreciate his protectiveness, because a lot of things that other girls were getting into, I didn't get into it because he put the fear of Reggie Armstrong in my heart, and I was.
Now, let me ask you a question. Now, that fear, did that ever at any point in time interfere with another young man's intentions with you? Like your standards, did some young men just say, hey man, look, you're not doing such and such, I can't deal with you? Did you ever run across that?
No, and I think the girl and the woman that he raised me to be, and I'm being straight up honest with you about this, I have not had that experience with guys where they were after one thing. I have always had guys that wanted to get to know me, and it never became a problem. But I think a big thing, because of what my dad and my family instilled in me, I think had I met that, I mean, I just had other things going on. So I wasn't seeking love. I wasn't like, oh my God, I need somebody to love me. Like, I was showered with love from my father. Like, I knew what it was like to be treated, you know, with love from a man.
So you came with a totally different expectation when you were dealing with gentlemen. And I'm sure that they approached you, I mean, because if I know you're a chick that's down for whatever, you won't get whatever. But if you're about substance, I'm not stepping to you unless I have some substance to bring. So.
It depends, Seiko, and you know that.
Well,
why you say that? Why you say that?
My mind is because I can step to a woman that has sense for a come up.
All right. Yeah, we've all had our come up chicks.
Right. Just because you have sense does not mean I'm not trying to take advantage of you.
Well, I don't know. Maybe, and I've noticed something as I've gotten older. I think because I was raised by my father, sometimes I see things from a male perspective. Okay. So a lot of times I had like guys, you know, they'd be my friend too. Like, it wasn't just like I can't talk to her. Like, I would find a lot, you know, I can talk to you a lot. Like, you know, I really can talk to you about stuff. And I think men and people value that when you're able to find somebody that you actually can. You disagree? You give me some kind of.
I agree with you, but it's all going back to the intention.
I just found people with good intent. I'm just gonna say.
How old are you talking? Are we talking we're talking high school and college?
I mean, if this is kind of veering from the topic, but if you really want to get into it, I had some guys to be like, I will not go there with you. Like, I value
he said that for a game.
But he didn't try it.
That's part of the game.
But it never, like, he didn't even try to make the move.
Young lady, there's no man that is your friend that is not married that wants to be your friend to be your friend.
Well, but let me say this. Now we're kind of going off the topic, but now you're bringing up something that's interesting to me about male and female relationships. If a guy does want to be intimate with you, does that mean that he's bad?
No.
Because if you're trying to be intimate and run game and then leave or do something like that, but if you have an interest in a woman and you would like to take it to a physical level, that doesn't always, I mean, that doesn't equal negativity, does it?
It's the fear of the negativity being in your mind, not ours. See, because we can conquer and leave. Women can't conquer and just leave. I don't know a woman that can just conquer and just leave like that. You get emotionally attacked.
Well, as long as that's not the only reason that you're coming after, and if it is the only reason, then you should state that up front. But I don't get mad. Like, how could I be mad if it's a male who I'm dealing with them or getting to know them, and they, you know, we just have to be upfront about how we feel about each other.
Do you think that the experience you had being raised by a father gave you ratchet repellent, you know, pain resistance, so you were able to handle those type of situations, or maybe it even presented an aura where gentlemen may not even come to you? And I'm saying gentlemen loosely. What do you think?
Maybe my father, my family, period. Because my dad is a big part of my life, and I had, you know, a lot of his family, my mother's family, who all had their hand in the pot with this. So yeah, I mean, how we raise our children, you know, definitely can have an impact on, you know, how they carry themselves. Because I do think men notice a lot of times how a woman carries themselves, how they're gonna go after that approach. Because I've seen some guys, especially when you start going back to younger, when you're saying middle school, high school, that the guy that they were with me and the guy that they were with some other young ladies was like two completely different people, and it was almost like they found refuge with being around somebody that wasn't out there doing all the stuff, which is not a slight against any of the young sisters who that was the situation that they had.
Yeah, no,
nobody's
we
perfect.
like Lauryn Hill and we like Lil' Kim. You tell I'm old, right?
But you know, we don't want our daughters to, you know, be what Lil' Kim was promoting. And I listened to Lil' Kim. I listened to Lil' Kim. I grew up during that time, but I wasn't doing what she was doing. Not at all.
Got you. So, how did your father end up with you? You're 12 years old, right? Mm-hmm. And you were living with moms and grandmas. All right, so you had the patriarch and the supreme patriarch in your family, and you were with them. How does Dad end up with Clever?
Well, my parents divorced when I was very young, like very, very young. I barely remember them being married, but I had a close relationship with both of them. Both of them went into the military. And then my dad moved here. My dad actually taught me how to, this is telling our age again, when I was like 4, 5, how to make a collect phone call so that I could call him. Because I was afraid to talk to the operator. And he was like, baby, you need to be able to contact, if anything goes wrong or if you need to talk to me, you have to know how to be able to call me. So he taught me how to do that, and I always had a close, he usually would come down and visit, you know, holidays, summertime or whatever. But as I got a little older, they started flying me up here to spend time with him. And one summer, I was here that summer before 7th grade, and I was like, I don't want to go back because I liked being here better than I loved my granny and my mom, and it was hard to leave them. But being here away from, you know, where I was from and the people I met here and the experiences I had with my dad and everything, I just was like, I want to stay.
Salutes to Dad. Salutes. Feminine hygiene. Ways of a woman. How did Dad make the woman that you are? I mean, how did he influence? How did he teach you? How did tampons, douching, all that stuff?
I have the best story about this. Like,
all right.
And I'm just gonna be open with it because we need to be open about real facts of life or whatever. Like the summer that I came up here, that same summer was the summer that my cycle started, and I freaked out. Like I was kind of like in denial, scared, whatever. And then I told him, and he was so calm. Like, he was just as cool as a cucumber, and he went to the store, came back, because I told my mother, too, of course. I told her on the phone, but he came back with everything, took care of me, you know, told me what to do. I had, you know, of course, I talked to my mom and my granny about it, and they said a lot of things, but my dad, he knew what to get. He was very sensitive to it. He didn't do a freak out type thing, or now me being an adult now and knowing what life entails, internally, I don't know what he was thinking, but externally, he held it all together, and I never felt awkward. I never felt like, oh, you're my dad. What am I gonna say, or anything like that. He made it just so normal and natural for me. And even like we had this thing where I would have to give him a list every month of like the things I would need from Walmart, or just like lotions, did all these things. So those feminine hygiene products, before I was old enough to drive, or if I wasn't able to go with him, that would be on the list. So my dad apparently would be up in Walmart or whatever store, with some Always and all this stuff. And he'd just come back and, bring me the things that sometimes he recommended when I was little, like some things or whatever. So, and I mean, my grandparents were married 54 years until my grandfather passed, and he has 3 younger sisters. So, and my grandmother was a home ec teacher and a special education teacher. So, I mean, he saw what his sisters went through or whatever, but he made it very natural, very, like, I was never embarrassed. And that's a good thing with dads, like, don't freak out. Do not freak out. It's natural, it's nature. Like, just go with the flow and be there for your daughter. Be ready to answer any questions that she has, and we'll be all right. We're not gonna break.
Being as though you were raised with a strong male figure in the household, when you're out, can you identify women that aren't and they haven't been? And if you can, what are those traits? So a young man that's courting and maybe want to make a decision about a woman, you might can say, hey, wait a minute, I need to look out for that red flag.
Well, first I was saying, all fairness, men and women get affected by not having a father, and one thing that I've had to deal with is the residuals of men who grew up without fathers. And that's an issue too, because just like it affects females in a certain way, it needs to be addressed, the fact that men have pain in ways that they react or don't know how to react or what to do, because they are hurting from their fathers not being in their lives. And that's been more of an issue for me. But I guess you're saying some traits. When people are really seeking out love, when it's just like you can't be alone, you gotta have somebody, and you're gonna put up with anything. But I'm noticing now that a lot of men seem to like the woman who will put up with anything.
Lazy.
Down for whatever.
Ain't no mouth. No nagging.
Yo, we like playing
But it's
video
not
games.
nagging, you know what I'm saying? Like, nagging is not good, and nobody wants nagging, but nagging and standards. Nagging and expectations, sometimes people tend to blur all those things together, and there's a difference between the two. I have standards of, how you should treat me, how I'm gonna treat you, things that will make this situation work or not, versus nagging, just, having nothing positive to say, and everything is just, bad. Those are 2 completely different things.
Excellent. It's YAP Radio, the Golden Fold Radio, where we talk about fatherhood. And we have Sister Clever Speaks from Clever Communications. Tell me about that.
Clever Communities in Action is my nonprofit organization. And the in action part, people want to say Clever Communications or whatever. The in action was so important to me because like you said, I'm a community activist, and if you are involved in the community, if we have a stake in our community and in our lives and the future generations, we have to be in action. There's a lot of talking. Like, this organization is about doing, getting the work done, seeing a void, and not just sitting back and talking about it and complaining about it. We are in action. We are making changes. So the organization primarily focuses on youth and literacy and just life skills to improve their lives. There are several programs that I have, and one of the main fundraisers I do is the Black History Month Youth Book Drive, in which over the last 4 years, in the month of February, I've raised over $5,000 and put over 800 brand new books written specifically for Black youth into 6 local elementary schools. Grassroots movement. Just went to the people and like, hey, I want to put these books in the schools, and got the money coming in. You see the void, you see that it needs to be done there, you go and do what you have to do to fill it. We do the Fatherhood in the Black community movement. I have a hip hop program that we do, teaching the youth about the true culture of hip hop, where we also focus on leadership, teamwork, responsibility, self-esteem.
Hip hop.
and just a plethora of other things that are going on. I always have my hands in something trying to uplift and inspire the Black community.
Gotcha.
I got one more question for you. How do you feel, the community activists, we're talking about fatherhood, how do you feel about the slave system that is child support today? As a woman, as a Black woman. And I will just give you my side of it first, and you tell me how you feel. I feel that the child support system is designed to break the man, especially the African American man, the poor white man. It does not promote taking care of your family. For instance, if any human being worked 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and your check was $1,000, even if you got kids, if they took $700 out your check, you're going to feel some type of way about it. And you're not going to want to pay it. It's natural. Now, I submit that if we change it and say, instead of me taking $700 out of your check, we're going to tell you, hey, this child needs 3 loaves of bread for the month. This child needs 2 gallons of milk, 4 cartons of eggs, and it makes a man feel like a man, like he's providing instead of being robbed. So that's my take on it. How do you
First thing I want to say is I feel and I respect your pain, like definitely. No, I'm dead.
Do you hear a BUT coming up?
No, I'm dead serious because I try when it comes to these male-female things in our community to be as balanced as possible because I am a woman, but at the same time, like I'm about our community in totality. I believe that the child support thing probably, there are unfortunately some men who do nothing, and we can't forget about that. But there are a lot of men who do a lot who end up being hemmed up. And this is what I'm going to say to that. As long as we continue to look at the system to try to make things right, it's never going to change. What needs to happen is some healing and conversations between Black men and Black women so that we can figure out how to get back on the right path where maybe we have less situations where we end up even needing child support. And then if we do have a situation where there's child support, feelings we walked away from a situation as adults who respected each other and had something and showed each other mutual respect is over, feelings are a little hurt, but we can move forward and raise our kids. And that's what we got to stop looking at them because they don't have your best interest at heart and my best interest in heart, your kid's mother or your kid's best interest in heart. We have to do the healing. We have to do the work. The court system does not care about you. I guarantee you, I just met you today, I care way more about you than the court system does. So we got to get together and work on how we interact with each other, how we see and view ourselves, what are our expectations for anybody that we get involved with, like what do we expect of them, what do we expect of ourselves, what are we bringing to it, not just what we're taking from it. And if we can heal as Black men and Black women, the court thing, like we ought to have our own freaking council, elders or whatever, who can come together and be like, let's mitigate how we gonna, do it. We got to pull our communities back together, communities in action. Screw the system.
How old are you? Go ahead, girl.
I'm old enough, like my granddad used to say, I'm old enough to vote.
Yo, clever. Is on point, dude.
All right.
No, brains and beauty, she got it. So that's what you
I love my people, and I'm loving the energy from this conversation. But please give me the opportunity to say the good things about my dad, because I said the thing about the boys and all that.
Well, you love that.
I love that thing. So every time you say something that's D-worthy, talk about Pops. Talk about what Pops did.
I'm not an emotional person, but I don't, oh my God, I hope y'all don't make me like tear up a little bit. But my dad put me first. My dad put me first with everything. When he dated or anything, like I came first. And I knew that, and I never ever had to wonder where he was, how he felt, if he loved me, or anything along that line. And I noticed growing up that you look back and you see how much of an effect that had on your life, that knowing your father was there. You know, later in my life, my dad, he got ill and we've had some challenges and different things have occurred, but that foundation that has been set, it never ever can be taken away. And so he was there. He taught me, you know, he just little things I look at, like making me more responsible. Like before, I was more spoiled, and I was still spoiled, but in a different way. It was like, you gonna get up and you gonna iron these outfits for the week. You're gonna get up, you know, you're gonna learn how to, you know, cook this food. He taught me things and he made it fun, and we laughed and we joked, and he was very strict about things, but we still had our fun. And he told me, you know, he was like, he was really a stickler about time. If I'm supposed to be back at this time, then I had to be back at that time. And I felt he overreacted. Later in life, he told me, when you were gone out, until you came home and closed the door and I heard you go in your room, I didn't sleep. So he was like, you know, I could hear ambulance or anything like that. He said he slept light. And I see some parents now, and you might say that's overboard for him to be like that, but I see a lot of parents who aren't that in tune to what's going on with their kids. And so to know that he loved me like that, and his family and the rest of my family, but even my dad's family, like growing up, I lived in one part of Alabama, and my dad's family was from a different part of Alabama, not too far away, but most of the family was spread out in Alabama and Atlanta. And during the holidays, you know, one of my aunts or uncles would come and pick me up to make sure that I got down there with my dad's family, because that's where I spent the holidays, on Christmas or whatever. And I was that important. Like, I felt love, and when you look back now, I'm like, well, y'all went out the way. But it was that imperative that this 8-year-old was there for this family celebration. And that, you know, I grew up around love. And when you grow up around love and you are not seeking love, like love is there and that's what you know, it affects I think it may affect who you draw, like the type of people that you draw to you and how you treat people as well.
Wow. All right, y'all. Clever Speaks. From Clever Communities in Action. All right, so hey, we thank you for being on the Golden Fold Radio on YAP Radio.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yo, this has been great. Yo, Polo, man, what you think, man?
Beautiful show. Thank you for coming by. I have to have you on my show. So
Thank you. No doubt. Let's make it happen.
All right,
just let me know.
Now listen, we hard hitting questions. Like we don't pull punches.
Yeah, they
That's
don't.
all right.
They don't. Okay.
But hey, I appreciate we need more people in our community.
That's what's up. All right, so this is Golden Fold Radio on YP Radio, where we discuss fatherhood. And today we had Clever, and we want to give a salute to her father. We want to give a salute to
Reggie Armstrong. And big up to all the black fathers out there, all the fathers, but especially the brothers, because y'all get a bad rap. Oh my gosh, y'all get a bad rap. And, you know, I see y'all trying. And the ones who, you know, want to try, just shout out to the black father, man. I love y'all. Special place in my heart.
Indeed.